If you haven't yet watched Benjamin Netanyahu's speech before Congress, you absolutely should. He did a great job. It's a really, really well-written, well-delivered, really, really great speech, right? But when you think about it, honestly, it's a shame that a speech like that was even necessary. You know, a speech where one of the main points of the speech is just generally to argue for the continuation of Israel's war against terrorists and just basically explain to overlords in Washington, D.C., why it needs to continue and how it would be pretty nice to have their support, which they don't. He talked about that, and he talked, pretty passionately about the really unique connection between Israel and America. And he also talked about the fact that there are still American hostages held in Gaza by terrorists, something that I think a lot of Americans are probably not even really aware of. I think probably our president is no longer aware of it. But anyway, the whole thing's great. You definitely got to watch the whole thing, but here's just a little bit, some of my favorite parts.
My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages. But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less. As Israel's Prime Minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent. Israel will not bend. We will defend our land. We will defend our people. We will fight until we achieve victory. Victory over liberty, rather victory of liberty over tyranny, victory of life over death, victory of good over evil. That's our solemn commitment.
I'm telling you, man, the entire speech really was just as good as that. And here's the thing, man. This guy is not here looking for permission. He does not care what Democrats in Washington or anyone at the ICC, the International Criminal Court, he doesn't care what these people think of him. He doesn't care what lies they spread about him or Israel or whatever anti-Semitic garbage they want to rattle off. He does not care. He was here to make the case right to the American people because he thinks it's important that they know that we still have hostages being held by these terrorists, and Israel's still fighting this war, and they're going to until everybody gets returned. And honestly, for war, against war, no one's really for war, but this is about as simple as war gets, man. You got good guys defending themselves against terrorists that cannot be allowed to continue. And I think another reason he was here, I think he kind of wanted to heart check the Democrats in Congress because, 50 of them didn't even show up, including the recently anointed one, Kamala Harris. They're too afraid to show up. They're afraid of what their base is going to think. But Rashida Tlaib, a congresswoman that literally has a Palestinian flag displayed right outside her office, right next to the pride flag, of course, which is just, you can't really write that. She actually did show up. She showed up to try and offer her very, very serious face and hold up a sign that says guilty of genocide, which honestly is just truly insane. She's honestly, admittedly, she's not a very, very smart person, but she's at least smart enough to recognize that there's no genocide happening, man. I'm not going to get into it here. This is not a video about the kind of warfare that Israel is really waging. But honestly, it's probably the most impressively careful and precise urban war that has ever taken place in all of human history, right? She is smart enough to know that, but she's also smart enough to know that her constituents are legitimate crazy people. And her job really isn't to legislate. Her job is basically to instigate. It's her job to speak to the true Democrat base that was gathered outside this building.
Chaos on the streets of Washington. Police using pepper spray. A crowd enraged.
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Many here believe Washington has rolled out the red carpet for a war crime.
Netanyahu, you're
thousands took to the streets calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, some accusing their government of being complicit in what they see as a genocide.
Speaker, the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
When we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
But he also didn't hold back on his American critics.
Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
It was the Republicans who invited him here, daring Democrats to shun an ally, a leader some call an obstacle to peace. Washington has opted to host a hugely polarizing man at a time of massive upheaval, providing a stage for yet more fury, and it could well backfire.
Stay home, bring them home, meaning the hostages, and end the war, right? That's what these leftists are advocating for. And on the surface, that all sounds great. But if you read between the lines, what these people really want is they want Hamas to survive. They want Hamas to survive so they can rebuild, regrow, basically continue to poison a new generation of next level terrorist serfs and just continue the cycle, basically. I mean, that's what they want, but that just cannot work. And really, that's what makes it so freaking easy to see through these people's words, right? If they truly wanted Gaza protected, if they really, really wanted the fictional nation of Palestine to be free, then honestly, man, they would find a way to partner with Israel. They would want all of Hamas just destroyed just the same as everybody else does. Palestine will never, ever, ever be free so long as it's ruled and controlled by terrorists. I mean, that is as simple as math can possibly be. But these people, they don't want to partner with Israel. They will never, ever. The last thing on earth that will ever happen is them partnering with Israel. And Kamala Harris, man, she doesn't even want to shake the guy's hand because she knows the radicals in her own party will come for her. I mean, I'm going to show you right now. Just look at her face and look at her body language when she just has to be in the same room as Bibi Netanyahu.
Welcome, Mr. Prime Minister, and I look forward to our conversation. We have lots to talk about. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press.
Yeah, I mean, she can't get away fast enough, man. She knows without a doubt that her side is going to use that picture against her. And just think about that, man. That is the state of the modern day Democrat Party. Showing up to a congressional address given by the prime minister of the only true democracy in the entire Middle East, the only place in the Middle East that gays and women have basic human rights in the entire freaking region, and shaking the guy's hand is unacceptable to the American left. I mean, just the statement that Kamala gave after their meeting, she said, we'll continue to stand by Israel, but we're not going to stay silent on atrocities in Gaza, is what she said. And then, of course, she immediately goes silent because she has no idea what she's talking about. She has no idea what to say. She doesn't know what to do. But it's amazing. I mean, these are not serious people. They can't even stand up to the crazies in their own party. And to quote Netanyahu himself, they may as well be Iran's own useful idiots.
We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America. So these protesters burn American flags even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
Honestly, man, can you even imagine any Democrat getting up before Congress and saying that? Just something that normal and that patriotic and that right? They can't even say it. They could never, ever say it. They would never even think to thank some fraternity brothers for standing up and doing something that they would never, ever in a million years do themselves. It probably offends them, right? To them, the frat bros are probably the bad guys just getting in the way of some mostly peaceful destruction of property, right? The same people that would literally lose their minds if you burned a pride flag or any other protected random flag, but the American flag, to burn that is a patriotic act, you know. But obviously these are not serious people, but there were some serious people there, right? Just some people just do not care what any crazy leftist actually thinks of them. Elon Musk was in attendance with Douglas Murray.
And tragically, they were killed making their way back to our lines. We have with us also the families of American hostages.
That's where we're at, man. I mean, just showing up to hear a speech, honestly, it should not be a remarkable thing, but that's where we're at. You know, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Elon Musk is going to yet again be the target of radicals, the target of Democrats. And for what? Just for daring show his face at a Netanyahu speech, right? But this is where we're at, man. And this is exactly who these people are. But I don't know. That's just my take, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.